How do you recognize good art? One of the most common questions I get asked is also one of the hardest to answer. How do you know if a piece of contemporary art is actually good? Not fashionable, not expensive, not well-framed or already halfway through a price rise. Just good. The art world is great at making this question harder than it needs to be. It produces enormous amounts of language, noise, reputation, and theatre. Galleries dress up fairly ordinary work with language that makes it sound profound. Collectors pretend to understand things they don't. People buy names rather than looking properly. So let's start somewhere direct. A good artwork is a work that is essentially worth seeing. That may sound too obvious to be useful, but I mean seeing in the full sense. Not glancing, not decoding, not being impressed because someone told you to be. I mean seeing in the way you see a storm coming in, or someone's face change when they're about to tell you the truth. I mean seeing as recognition, seeing as experience. The fact that this sounds almost old-fashioned tells us something about contemporary art. Some of it is very good. A lot of it isn't. Some is bad in obvious ways, clumsy or derivative. Some is bad in more respectable ways, competent, polite, expensive, and dull. Some is market bait, made to look good in a JPEG, sell quickly, and vanish from the mind almost as soon as you've seen it. The problem is that the signals have become confused. In the past, people relied on certain clues: the gallery, the price, the CV, the fare. Some of those things still have value, but they can't be trusted on their own. Reputations can be manufactured, prices can be inflated. A waiting list can be a sign of serious interest or a clever piece of theatre. So the better questions are, is it interesting? Does it hold your attention? Does it feel alive? Does it reveal more the longer you look at it? Would it still have something to say once the hype and the opening night crowd have disappeared? A good painting is not just a thing you hang on a wall, it's something you live with. It changes how a room feels. You see it in different light, in different moods, at different times of day, when you're tired, pleased with yourself, annoyed, half thinking about dinner or someone you need to call back. And slowly, if it's good, it becomes part of your inner life. That keeps happening. It changes because you change. You might buy it because of one thing: a color, a mood, a title. And 5 years later realize the real reason it stayed with you was something else entirely. This is where a lot of art writing fails. It makes work seem less alive than it is, turns art into a pile of references, a locked room. It tells people a painting is concerned with liminal embodiment or the destabilization of inherited structures, when what it might actually do is make you think differently about desire, failure, or beauty. Good art can be difficult. It can be intellectually demanding, strange, unsentimental, and resistant. It doesn't need to charm you. Some of the best work I've encountered wasn't work I liked immediately. Sometimes what stays with you is the thing you initially dismiss, or recoil from, or don't know what to do with. A useful test is, does the work keep returning to you after you've left it? Not because someone told you it was important, but because something in it remains unresolved. A painting you thought you didn't like comes back to you 3 days later. A drawing that seemed slight starts to feel more serious than the large, impressive thing beside it. That delayed reaction is often where judgment begins. There's nothing wrong with beauty or visual pleasure. Some very good art is beautiful. Some of it is funny, elegant, even charming. The problem comes when that's all it is. A good-looking work can make a room look better. A good work makes the room feel different. It gives the room a center of gravity, changes the way conversation moves around it. So what should you look for? Start with attention. Does the work hold yours properly? Does your eye keep moving through it? Does it feel discovered or merely produced? Does it seem as though the artist had to make it, or as though they worked out what the market wanted and supplied it? Then look for intelligence, not cleverness. There's far too much cleverness already, but intelligence. A good artwork thinks. The decisions feel necessary. You may not understand all of it, but you sense that the artist does. Then look for endurance. Does it get better with time, or does it exhaust itself? Some art performs brilliantly on Instagram and collapses when you spend real time with it. Other art is the other way round. It doesn't give itself away too cheaply. That capacity to keep giving is one of the best signs. Be wary of hyperbole. Be wary of work that arrives already over-explained. Be wary of artists whose market seems to have appeared before the work has had time to become interesting. And be especially wary of the feeling that you're being rushed. Good art can withstand thought. Good dealers can withstand questions. If all you get is mystification, pressure, or market gossip, step back. When you do find a good work, the experience of owning it can be extraordinary. Not dramatic or cinematic, but serious, in a smaller and more durable way. You live alongside it. It becomes attached to chapters of your life. You move house and it comes with you. It becomes part of the furniture of thought, but not furniture. More like a recurring presence. The market often forgets this. The art world loves to talk about access, investment, status, and price. All of those things can be relevant. Price and provenance are important, but they shouldn't be the only questions, and they certainly shouldn't be the first. The first question is, do I want to keep looking? Then, will this work continue to give me something? The best collectors I know don't simply buy names or chase trends. They build relationships with works, artists, ideas, and time. They learn their own eye. They make mistakes. Everyone does. But they look, and then look again. They learn the difference between excitement and pressure, between conviction and salesmanship. A lot of people are frightened of contemporary art. Not obviously, but socially frightened. They worry about looking stupid, buying the wrong thing, being patronized, or being exposed as someone without the right cultural code. And the art world has not always helped. But looking is not an exam. You're allowed to respond before you understand. You're allowed to dislike something important. You're allowed to change your mind. The point is not to perform sophistication. The point is to develop judgment, and judgment begins with giving time and attention. This is Blackbird Rook. If you'd like any help, then get in touch.